Okay.
All right. Can everyone that's online hear me okay? My name is Weston Ott, city engineer for City of Lakewood.
I can, as Jeff Cox.
All right, thank you, Jeff. All right.
Yep, Weston, I got you. Todd Husky. Yep.
Oh, it's top. Okay.
Yep.
So we'll go take attendance first. So that we have a quorum, and then we'll go to public comment. So calling out those in attending: Kate Reed here, Kirk Spingam
Here.
Jeff Cox,
Here,
Thomas Bloom here. And Thomas, do you want to introduce your alternate at this time?
Yes, I'd like to introduce Eric Schmidt. He is the environmental program manager for the CFMO for the representing category. So he's the head environmental person. And he will be taking my place.
Thank you very much for being here, Eric. Weston Ott, City of Lakewood, and Todd.
Yep. Here.
All right, we have not only do we have a quorum, but we have all members here. Right. Well, Katie's passing a sign-up sheet. We'll go ahead and have public comment here shortly. Jan Spingab has signed up for public comment. Is there anyone else online that would like to make public comment?
Dalton and Megan work with.
Okay.
Oh. Part of the environmental.
Team today. So with that, we're a small group and we'll informal today for our meeting. So Janet, you can feel free to sit there. If there's a chair over there, if you want.
So, I'm Janet Spindler and I'm here representing, I'm the secretary for the Northern Lake Improvement Club. And it's just something that this is in the, I'm going to talk about this in a second. I would like the Lake Management District to help us understand what is process for doing something in addition. This is that if we want to add something, maybe I'm not going to use an example, but if we want to add a project as Lake the property owners, it seems like under the initiation that we could 10 landowners could add that could petition the LMD to add activities detailing the proposed improvements in planning. So then what I'm thinking is, it sounds like us 10 or 20% would be responsible for defining the projects in nature, figuring out how to finance it, how long it's going to be, what the boundaries are. Then what? That would bring it here, you think? And then there would be a public hearing and a vote. And then does the county have to coordinate it? Or are the LMD able to take care of that? This is where it can be clear. Well, if you could speak to this, it'd be very helpful.
Did you want anything else you wanted to discuss? Jan?
Just probably just.
So I will have to get back to you, Jan, on that. Do you have people, I'm assuming, that would be interested?
Probably just, I'm just thinking of things that come up that maybe the LMD seems like would fit within the water quality issues come up. A new invasive species could come.
Sure. So quick question. So are you thinking of forming a new group or modifying the existing LMD?
Not modifying you guys, you're, I think you're great, we adding a project, that's what it says, add.
Okay.
So the way I see the project that we have is the original one notebook.
Correct.
That's
the focus.
Right, that's the
Started
focus.
this, yeah.
But if somebody, and so we're seeing a lot of different pressures from around the lake. People, we've had problems with filament and salinity that, you know, like Eagle Point just got totally obliterated this year with it. And it was rotting on the beach basically. and other invasive species that people are trying to mention, say, well, we should be taking care of that, and so I guess it's a responsibility from our point of view to consider those things that come up from, actually, the landowners are the authority on the LMD.
Yeah.
It says 10 landowners or 20%. 20% probably be more appropriate because we have 260 some or 360 some properties around the lake, other than JP11 and the Camper. So, yeah, but City of Lakewood is part of it as well. But so I'm just thinking from a proactive point of view, how do we consider those things when they come up? And so when we look this up, I had to take this off of an AI summary of the RCW.
Right.
I could not actually find, I was trying to find the actual RCW section that has this process. You know, I think it was 366110 or something. I don't remember, maybe a letter involved with it, paragraph, those kinds of things. So I couldn't actually find it today.
Is it something that we could be considering more toward the end of the 10 years to expand the program instead of
That is an option.
trying to, knowing that our funding is limited and everyone on the lake voted? I mean, it was a vote.
Yeah, well, but there are provisions in the RCW to actually redo in interim, but it takes another vote to add
Right.
project and to change funding. If we wanted to change the linear foot charge.
Right, that's where the 10 years, no. You can do it in interim.
I believe it can be done in
Oh,
between,
okay,
but that doesn't mean that's the best place to do it. I'm just saying there is a possibility.
Okay.
in that.
One other question is kind of, if it doesn't cost anything, for example, we have invasive mussels that are really spread in our state, and we have a lot of boats that come from all over the country. We have some monitoring going on, but if we wanted to monitor it ourselves and respond to it as like management district by saying we've identified it, wouldn't cost us anything to do, yes, volunteers to do that. That's just to be aware, or maybe let's say we want to make sure the boat launch fees are paid. We want to use I feel like that's the LMD's position overall. And that's what I want to clear, is to come up with ideas.
The LMD actually is charged with lake management overall. And we have particularly narrowed ourselves to one thing. So if we wanted to add a monitoring program like the Pierce County District Conservation District quit taking all the data for the for American Lake monitoring that we've done since 2001, they quit that program. So how do we just said another project, this doesn't cost anything, but it could be put in with our purview to look at the data and to maybe have that as a possibility. Right now, I'm having Jeff, I'm gonna be sending Jeff Cox data offline here so that he's gonna be the keeper of it. And so there's just all kinds of different things we consider.
What's the process? We had this, the process.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at one. I'll talk with legal and to look at formation documents. See what provisions are there. Yeah. And I do like that concept of instead of just 10 landowners, maybe 20% of the lake.
That makes sense.
Especially if you're gonna change the funding strategy.
Right.
And Jeff had asked me to bring a number to him earlier today. just so you know, the full lake assessment for all fronting owners adds up to $23,735 a year. And again, that's assuming all assessments are paid. However, there is a loan payback. There was a loan, the city provided the ALMD formation. The loan payback for 2026 is $2,649. And the loan was at a 3% rate. So those are just formation numbers that not.
What is, you know what the loan balance is?
It's so it's a. I have the document upstairs. It varies a little bit from year to year, and it's about that amount every year for the 10 years.
So, that's amortized over 10 years.
Yeah, because I believe it's I think they started out at roughly $24,000, you know, principal.
Mhm.
The payback is you know, like that by 10, about 2650, so for 3% over 10 years. So. Anyhow, so part of what I'm just bringing that up is one, Jeff had asked it to, that's the amount of funds that the ALMD has on it. Yeah. So any more public comment? Nobody came on?
No, doesn't matter.
So the next item on the agenda after public comment is our unfinished business, and that's the approval of meeting minutes. We have to approve the meeting minutes for July 16th, even though that meeting was primarily focused on Pierce County surface water, sharing with us some of the history behind the weird outfall on JBLM. And then the second set of meeting minutes from the September 17th meeting. We do have a copy of those meeting minutes. Katie, I believe you have those there. If any of the members would like to take a quick look at them before we call for approval. Would anyone like to take a look at those? I think Jeff had a comment about meeting minutes.
Jeff, do you have any comments on
Weston,
meeting minutes?
I have no comments on the July 16th minutes. I have reviewed them and have no comments. I do have a comment on the September 17th minutes under the budget. The numbers that you list for the expenses say they were the expenses in 2023. Is that correct, or were those the expenses in 2024?
I'll have to check on that. That could be a typo.
Yeah, it seems that presenting budget numbers from 2 years previous to the meeting seems less than up to date. I wonder if it's a typo that those are actually from 2024.
Yeah, Jeff, I agree with you. I think it is a typo, but I also don't have the numbers to that granular level with me at the meeting right now.
Yeah, that's my on the September 17th minutes.
I make the motion to accept the minutes pending the outcome of looking at 3 versus 24.
Okay. Because we will have forward them via DocuSign to 8-0. So I can definitely make that correction. So I hear a motion made. Would anyone like to second?
I think, well,
Oh, anyway. Whichever you want to record.
So I guess the correct option now is that it's open for any further discussion. I will call a voice vote. All right, those all in favor of accepting the meeting minutes for July 16th as shown and September 17th with the corrected budget numbers. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, we will make those changes and they will go out. Most likely next week with 8, 9 to approve those. And we will work to get those posted up on the website. Great. So on our agenda for new business, we have the fall treatment survey. And that was anticipating that Aqua Technics would provide it. They literally provided it, today.
Yes, please, thanks.
So what we'll do while Katie's passing out is we'll go ahead and simply upload some of the figures they sent. Please count them as draft, but I do have a draft report and blow-ups of the figures. And did you get the spring survey figure as well
You mean on here?
on there? Yeah.
Yeah, so I
So let's
compared.
start with the spring one, yeah.
Oh,
Sorry, I messed you up there.
Now.
so. Okay, spring survey map.
There,
Um,
because I don't know if you're gonna be able to side by side.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we can't side by side overlay.
Can on Zoom, can you guys see the PDF?
I'm on a phone, as my power is out, so I do not see it.
Yeah, I got it.
So in this figure, you can see, we basically had milfoil around the entire lake. Some areas are represented as areas of colonies of milfoil, others are, small groupings of plants, but you can see it pretty consistent around the whole lake. When we got the spring survey, the areas were beyond, the budget that would be available for the ALND. However, we received a $75,000 grant from Department of Ecology to treat milfoil. So we went ahead with a larger program to try to knock this back as best we could. And the fall surveys from Aqua Technics, which Katie will put up here in a moment, really showed how successful it is.
Nice.
Yeah, so what's hard to see on that, and I'll do my best to describe it verbally, and if you want to get up and look closer at the map. There's some green circles, and then you have yellow or orange, yellow, and red. So the green circles, there's two types of green. But depending on the color, they represent 1 to 5 plants, or there's a different color that represents 6 to 10 plants, so pretty small amounts of plant density. As you get to the warmer colors towards red, the orange is 11 to 15, the yellow is 16 to 20, and then the red would be over 20 plants. I did talk a little bit with Aqua Technics, and again, these figures literally came in today. This survey area, the depth that they were able to survey was to about 15 feet. So with the lake being so far down this year and them being able to get out to 15 feet, I'm hoping this bodes well for next year, that they really knocked it back. One area that comes up, and you can see it's a little bit of a yellow, it's a little bit hard to see, it's in that, is around the JBLM Marina. I know when I had surveyed that with Terry years ago, there was quite a few, you could see a lot of milfoil plants in that area. And then that area gets churned up quite a bit. They have their boat rental in that area. So it's not surprising to see a fair amount of plants in the fall survey. If you want to point at that real quick.
Yeah, I was trying to find a
Yeah,
mouse or something. I don't know how to
Yeah, that's.
zoom.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone can see that. What about just passing out the figures as we go through them? Start with here,
Oh.
that's the spring survey, and then this is the fall. Again, the legend's handwritten because that was me talking on the phone with architects today.
About area one.
Yeah, so. But you can definitely see there's some effect from boat traffic. It's not surprising, you know, any piece of milfoil that's broke off on another colony, but. Pretty good before and after. So, Katie, do you mind putting up that other figure?
The spring one,
No, that density one, I think you had
Oh,
that initially.
I do, it's the next. It's this one.
So this is not specific to milfoil, this is all biomass. They were able to get this data while they were doing the survey. And you can see it roughly coincides with where the milfoil is. What this is a percentage of the water column that would have aquatic plants. So 0 would be your blues. And then red would be 100%. So you don't see any towering columns of milfoil. The only area kind of in the middle is that area around the marina.
Question,
Yeah,
plans.
correct. So it's all plants.
Okay, that's,
Yeah.
good,
Yep.
good,
So, because there should be some native plants, it shouldn't be a
Yeah.
bare bottom.
absolutely.
I think this, I'll pass this here around.
That has the legend, I wonder if the. This might be in the way.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, there we go, so red is highly dense and then blue is low.
But again, that's all aquatic plants, so it's more of an interest than focus solely on milfoil.
Out of curiosity, do we have any water lilies left in the lake?
Yes. Yeah, off the point there at, no, the other side, but.
You mean down toward the country club?
Farmers Pond.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's
There's still there.
is there a colony in the little VA hospital pool?
I believe it's still there, yeah.
Okay, I just curious as a basic
I
thing.
think they're still there.
Okay,
And then it goes around from town.
Right, water.
Check to the dolls.
okay. Yeah,
You know.
So the next is the figure that we report, it just shows the treatment zones which and whose area that would be, whether it's a part of the ALMD, we have a primary and a secondary area to treat. Yeah, that's in the. So what I'll do after the meeting is send out the document to all board members to take a quick look at. Again, I haven't even had a chance to read it. And we will make comments and return that to Aquatech and the final of the document.
in line.
Question,
Go
I
ahead.
have one question. Do you know, without having read the document, if the fall survey they did, did they use the same technique to do the survey as they did in the spring? In 2024, they used a different technique and it was harder to do a one-to-one comparison. Do you know if this year it's easier to do a one-to-one comparison so that because the technique was the same?
Yeah, I may have to get back to you on that one, Jeff. Because I'm looking
Okay,
at,
thanks.
yeah, their report and they're not specific to that. So I'll pass this around with the caveat that I have not even had a chance to read yet.
Then another question is, we keep talking about invasive plants and things coming in off of boats. Have we ever gotten to the point that we wanted to start discussing wash stations? Like when I come through Oregon, they make a big deal about wash station. So do we need to form an alliance up and down the coast with like Canada and Washington and I don't know whether Canada is possible, but at least Washington and Oregon so that, and maybe Idaho, so that people traveling back and forth, it's becoming a serious issue for water quality and maintaining our lake.
I think you might want to have the, Washington Invasive Species Council address you. There, because they're the ones doing the effort around the mountains.
Oh, or they, okay. You just, I've talked about a wash station for Merrimack Lake on various locations where boats are coming in, but don't move very far on it, and I know that would pop up an assessment issue. But it keeps our lake clean.
But they might have funding too, or something like that.
Ah, okay.
Yes, invasive species can have some good investments in talking.
So, again, knowing these documents are extremely draft, literally came in today. Take them with a grain of salt, I just wanna make sure the board sees them. They'll be sent around for comment to come back. I'd like to try to get that response to Terry's group by the end of the year, so that first of the year, they can have the final document that can upload to the website, so. You'll see something in your inbox probably early next. With that, if there is anything further on the treatment, I think the main topic for this evening is the work plan. That's something that goes before the council, city council, and it's not just our work plan, but all boards and commissions within the city prepare a work plan. And typically our work plan, it's been pretty much the same from year to year. The difference for this work plan will be that we received the grant, so. I know Jeff had mentioned to me when he was letting me know he had to call in tonight that is how do we fit the grant funds into this next year's work plan. So with that, does everyone have a copy of the plan? If not, with extra copies.
What was legal?
No, not a problem.
Actions.
And again, all I did was take the 25 work plan and change it to 26. And then open it up for discussion. Because again, as we've discussed, the board is fairly narrow focus on the level.
Out of curiosity, has anybody ever done an analysis if people on Silicon Lake come into American Lake or well, they can't get into Grand Lake. Is there any contamination that's going back and forth?
Yeah, I don't know the answer. I do know just because I live in the city and I vote on both lakes, that the amount of milfoil on Stillwater, there's quite a bit where Merrimack has much less. I was even out on both lakes around Thanksgiving and first of December time. It's like two different lakes.
Okay.
So it's not surprising, you know, that could happen. You had mentioned wash stations. I know the current standard of practice is when you do both out of the lake, that you do a visual inspection on your trailer and boat. Any milfoil that got stuck, anything, you take that off and put it in the garbage, so.
Not sure the boombox people aren't really thinking about.
No.
What?
The boombox here.
She's talking about my generation.
What's that?
She's talking about my generation.
My youth. Anyway,
So that's this, to try to answer your question. But with that, I think I would just open it up for anyone, on the board, if they have any suggestions. What I will tell you, looking at my notes, is with the grant, our original anticipation was to use 2/3 of the grant in 25 and then the remaining third in 2026. Try to get the lake this year as hard as we could to knock the milfoil back. So that was our philosophy around the time of accepting the grant. So I think for 26, a safe bet would be to show 1/3 of the 75,000 and 25,000. But then if we have additional funds, settle up all the bills this year, then we could push more towards 26.
And then we'll be able to change that based on the 2026 June survey.
Correct, correct.
If we need to add it to that, we have money to do that.
And we're also not obligated to spend it all, but obviously we want to spend the grant that's a priority, to treat as much milfoil as possible. I don't think we'll have that problem, just at least from here experience, but
Yeah, but
especially looking at that earlier figure. We can see already in the fall survey around the JBLM, marina, that it gets hit a little bit harder, so.
Question on the bottom table, 26th calendar in January, should that be 2026?
Correct, I've already made that edit on my copy here.
Then in December, it should be, 2027.
27, correct.
that's what Captain Base says for him.
Well, I literally, I was, completely honest when I said I took the previous one and changed just the number at the top, so. Cool. But again, you know, what we've been doing has been working. Had to contend with some of the environmental conditions beyond our control, or lower lake levels. Milfoil's been behaving, but. And I think the additional grant funds, so I would just put that as like number 8, if that's acceptable. And put 25,000, and then maybe put a asterisk with that number and just say if more funds available, they to 26, and I think that would be a simple way to address the grant. Under the topics, there would be some requirements. There are some strengths that come with the grant that require some reporting to the Department of Ecology. So that would need to occur. When that happens.
This is Jeff. I have, I think the work plan is fine. If, however you might want to address the potential use of remaining grant funds, is fine, whether you kind of leave that as a reserve fund or want to in some way show that it might be part of this next year's plan. I have no advice on how to do that. I do wonder, or did want to ask, if it became obvious that the additional remaining portion of the grant funds were not needed in 2026, is the grant flexible enough that you can carry those funds over to 2027?
So I did ask our grant administrator that question, and unfortunately, the answer is no.
Then if that's the case, depicting the potential use of those funds in 2026, I think is entirely appropriate in the work plan.
And I believe we could bill the grant. If, let's say, the grant funds were equal to the amount of work needed in 26, I believe we would bill just to the grant and not tap into any of the ALMD funds, which would then just continue to roll over.
That would be good.
Yeah, I believe that's the deal. Yeah.
Like that.
Sounds good, understood.
Because again, you're essentially playing with 21,000 a year, let's say 20, just because there are some weeds. So try to preserve as much of that as possible. So for, again, the public comment was just made about adding additional items to the LMD. Would that be a topic that you would want to add for discussion, or would you want to just go forward with this as it's shown and then make that change as they arise next year?
I prefer just go ahead and accept this as it is, and then February meeting, and have that all worked out.
So one change I propose to make is I'll check our grant reporting document. And I know there is a reporting criteria, and I'll get the date when that has to be in by, but add that as a row in the bottom portion of the document under topics. Okay. And it's not the end of the world if I don't, because I still have to do it anyways, but also reflect that as an activity that has to be done.
In the, we have the grant. Was any of that? Those dollars put into administrative costs? Takes time to do some of that work. And is that allowed?
5%?
There's a small amount that can be
Okay,
used to.
just out of curiosity.
I will say, because Katie did the lion's share of the grant preparation, with the concept from Public Works Department was we put it every dollar that we can.
Okay.
And then the only other thing is Terry, I don't have an updated or a supplement contract for 26 with Terry yet, so I don't know if it is possible to go up. So as the ALMD is flat over 10 years, it doesn't account for time value of money. So any escalation of costs to do the work just comes through a reduction in the amount of work. Okay, well, that's great. If there isn't anything further, I think we can go ahead and ask if everyone's comfortable with that. Forward. Jeff and Todd, are you guys comfortable with the work plan as shown and the edits we've discussed?
I am. This is Jeff.
Yep, I don't see any issues with that going forward. We still, Weston, did you make any progress with Bridget yet with recovering 24 funds?
Yeah, so that's timely on our next item on our plan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, you know, our federal,
Mayor,
yeah,
so we start, I have one new business.
oh, okay.
That's an update for the Murray, very quick.
Okay, so let's go ahead, Todd, we'll come right back to that. Let's go ahead and add to the agenda an update on Murray Creek under new business.
Good evening. So the Camera Creek, which feeds into American Lake, it's been running dry for well over a year. Around February of this year, we were working with the environmental side of JBLM, and we identified 3 beaver dams on the JBLM side of the creek that may not be the sole reason for the creek running dry, but are certainly contributing factors. And we've been working to try and get, you know, their crews out there to help break those down and encourage flow onto the Camera side of it. We found out today that they've begun what's called notching, slowly chipping away at the first beaver dam that's in closest proximity to Camera. This process is going to go on for several days and potentially several weeks as they break apart that dam piece by piece. The goal is to prioritize worker safety and take a methodical approach to control the rate of water that goes in Camera. In preparation for that increased water flow, tomorrow morning we'll be working with state maintenance staff with the Washington Military Department. We're going to be walking the entirety of the creek within Camera boundaries to remove any large debris or fallen trees, anything that might cause obstruction. There's a few reasons for that. Mostly, if something were to go wrong with the process that JBLM is doing, and there's a sudden increase of flow, we want to make sure that we clear all obstructions on our side of it.
Question, one of the, at Eagle Point had pointed out, and I haven't seen it, he said that there's a dam right there at the mouth as well. And that's also holding back water. You can walk across that barely. I don't know, I haven't seen it, so I'm just reporting what they told me.
Okay, yeah, I was part of that. And unfortunately, I didn't bring a map to kind of show where those dams were, on JBL, but,
So all the dams you're referring to are beaver dams?
yes.
So are the beavers being relocated someplace? Or are they just going to come back and do their thing again?
That I'm not,
Yes.
yeah, that I'm not sure, I'll have to see what, team at JBLM is doing to the animal itself. And, hopefully I can provide better updates later soon.
So we can ask Todd real quick too. Todd, with JBLN, do you have any update on what's going on with beavers? And then we'll turn it back to Eric with Nation's update on Murray Creek.
Sure, yeah. I think I provided that update to Cheryl regarding the beaver work that we're doing here. Yeah, there's always going to be beavers in that system, all the way up to the headwaters, and we've trapped them out before, and they find their way back, and so I think we're going to just kind of live with them, and I think we're going to take a different strategy that we're going to start to employ probably some beaver deceivers. We did notch the dam yesterday, as Eric mentioned, and then we had some staffers go down today to re-notch it, and of course the beaver had thrown new material there. So this is going to be an ongoing problem, but I think if our longer term solution would be to look at things like beaver deceivers, let the beaver stay in the system to recharge the water, and the aquifers upstream, but continue to have flow, at least a minimum flow rate that can continue down through Camp Murray and into American Lake. As you know, American Lake is mostly spring fed. I would say that Murray Creek probably provides, some amount of input, but it's not the majority of the input for the lake itself. It's the actual aquifer, which, from our perspective, the beavers are actually doing a really good thing by withholding some of that water, especially now that, over the last 20 or 30 years, we've seen decreases in water flow rates, across Pierce County. Muck Creek is another good example where our data just continually shows this down flow of in-surface, stream flows. So anyway, so yes, we are making progress. We understand that there are, beaver issues in the area that are curtailing flow, and we're making sure that our roads are not flooding. That's another issue, right? If beaver has too much activity in certain areas, we have infrastructure problems. So we're maintaining those as well. But we understand the desire to get flow downstream and through Camp Murray, and so we are working with that.
Can you explain how beaver deceivers work?
That I'm not familiar with at all.
Yes, and
Todd, Janet is asking you to explain how beaver deceivers work.
Oh, so basically, it's a long pipe that goes basically through the dam. So the dam stays intact, but it still allows water to flow. Kind of like you're tricking the beaver. The beaver is going up to the dam and continuing to pile material there, but can't plug up the culvert, which or tube that runs through the dam. We've had expensive versions of that on larger systems, and smaller versions that we go out with literally a 4-foot PVC pipe and stick it through the dam, a smaller dam. So yeah, that's the gist of it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Eric, sorry, we interrupted you. We're a little informal in here.
That was all I had.
What was that all you had?
Yeah.
Was there any other impacts to Murray Creek beyond just the
Yes, so it's
dams?
not right now. Years past, we had kind of like a program with racing salmon within the creek, but after speaking with the Department of Fish and Wildlife, that's been discontinued long ago, so not really impacts aside from the set. So.
We always figure we were just feeding the other fish.
So this is Jeff. I have a couple questions and a couple of comments just for my education on this. I know it's outside the realm of the LMD. The first question is, does anybody know with these, before you've breached those dams, if any water was reaching American Lake at the mouth of Murray Creek?
No,
Negative, right? And it seems like this has happened several years, even without the beaver dams. We've had decreased flows. Again, we've seen decreased flows on our end. Yes, there's been some long-term projects, you know, the Madigan Hospital, and you know, pulling water to recharge stuff, and that has always kind of been a source of some loss. I don't know if we can know how much, but the idea is that they're putting water back, the same amount of water back into the actual water table, right, the aquifer. So theoretically, you wouldn't be losing any. But these, you know, again, these are very porous soils. These are kind of a remnant prairie soils, and so they're very it can percolate water pretty fast and pretty easily, and they're really gravelly. So, but no water was making it before the dams were breached. But now we usually see flows start, like in Muck Creek, tributary of the Nisqually, in about December. So mid-December is when we start seeing that water table finally reach capacity and start flowing above surface.
Yeah, okay. The second, well, a couple of comments. I went on the USGS site looking for flow data for Murray Creek to kind of understand better the seasonal flows of it based on some public comments to the American Lake Improvement Club. And the data there is very sparse and back in the, I think, the 70s and 60s. Does the fort or Camp Murray actually have any recorded, even by hand, recorded flow data for Murray Creek that would be available to understand and have as knowledge if public comment arises as to the claims that this or that is causing great havoc on the flow of the creek?
yes, we do have instrumentation set up on the Camp Murray side. Not a lot of data to report because the fact that it has been dry for the last roughly year and a half or so. But yes, we have those set up.
Is that data available?
I will check to see where we're at with that. I believe we're seeking contractor help to help compile the data from both 2024 and 2025. So hopefully,
Okay.
And
I'd be interested if there's some available. My last comment is, and I mentioned this to Kurt Spingast the other day when I was talking to him. Most of us believe, at least we think we understand, that the majority of the water coming into American Lake is coming through springs or through the aquifer. That Murray Creek probably doesn't contribute a significant portion. Part of why I went looking for the flow data to see if I could understand what that portion might be. But I would ask what the sources of everybody's statements are as to the majority or the vast majority of the water entering American Lake is from the springs or the groundwater. Do you have some publications or data or USGS notes or anything that we can turn to if the public questions us on that, other than just saying that's what I've always been told?
I might be able to. We might have a report that we utilize here, but you know, Pierce County should have those reports as well. Honestly, but yeah, I'll take a look for you, and if I find something, I'll send it over to you.
is that
I'd appreciate.
surface water management?
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that just to be in a more educated position when people make comments of that nature. So
You bet, Jeff. Okay.
thanks much.
Is there any other new business or any other item to discuss? I'll go ahead and move forward. Okay, with that, I do not have a current budget, to share. What Todd was mentioning is, in the past, there was an overcharge, to JBLM for American Lake Management District's, work on the JBLM side. The way we corrected that was used it as a credit and then just charged for, the balance. And that was in 2024, so when we caught that. And Todd can probably relay more. I know there's issues with the closure of the government, et cetera. We are still waiting to hear if we'll get paid for that portion of work. So Todd, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that.
Yeah, other than just, I don't think we've received our fiscal year budgets yet. And so it may take a little bit longer, but I would anticipate this is going to get paid in the first part of the calendar year. By March, we should have figured this out to have that balance paid.
Yeah, and then just to add to it, the way it works with the ALMD is work done on JBLM VA side of the lake, which makes up about half the lake, is just passed through expenses. So for every dollar of work, an invoice of $1 is sent to JBLM. They're not assessed like the residents are, because you can't assess the federal government in a similar manner. So just some background on that. But the good news is with the grant, we're solving.
Well, one question, and only because I didn't listen well enough. Did the LMD overcharge JBLM, and therefore the LMD owes JBLM money, or did the LMD undercharge him and the JBLM owes money back? I was a little confused on, and it's none of my business of taking care of it, but I was a little confused which way the money's supposed to go and who overcharged who.
Yeah, so real quickly, the easiest way to answer that is in the formation documents, there was an estimate of what the JBLM portion for year to year would be. So that was part of the setup of the LMD. What happened is through finance, the invoice went out to JBLM and they paid it based on that estimated amount, and it wasn't on. Well, and so then when we caught that difference looking over the billings, that's when we realized they were overcharged because it was actually less money. So then we corrected that in 2024 and essentially gave them a credit of, I'm going from memory, but it was roughly about $8,000. And so then the invoice was around $12,000 to be paid instead of $20,000 for work that was done on JBLM property.
Okay.
So if that invoice were to come in, or if that invoice were to be paid, then that would just be corrected in the accounting. So that's what we're waiting on. Well, ironically, the invoice for work in 25 has already been paid. So it's that past year, and I believe that just we're dealing with 3 different fiscal years. The government has a different one than the state, than the city of Lakewood. So
yeah. Okay, I know you guys are on top of it. I was just trying to clarify my confusion.
yes. Okay, if there's isn't anything further, any questions on that? I don't have a current lien status. We're approximately around 10 liens would be my guess. But this changes quite often, so the liens go out, they're often paid, and then, it's usually just through oversight that they're not getting paid. As we all know, the dollar amount per property versus the property's value. But I would say we have very good, payment of the assessment for the ALMD.
So just this reminds me that I didn't tell you what happened with Joel Verona, who sent in the note with this payment.
Oh,
And so
and
Jan,
that's right, I sent that to you.
yeah, you sent it.
You're gonna help me on that.
You sent
That's why I
me,
was gonna go with that one.
and actually, Jan, I talked with him on the phone and by text and things like that for about a week, and then we actually had dinner with him at the country club and he paid. So it turned out pretty good.
Oh, good.
So he was satisfied with, kind of where the LMD is and his understanding of what needs there are, what problems there are, is greater today than it was for sure.
All right.
Weston, the only question I had on budget item is, can you remind me when essentially the fiscal year of the LMD is, when you consider you've closed the year and then calculate carryover funds to the next year?
So,
January, is it April 1st or when is it?
so we use the calendar year for City of Lakewood. So December 31st, January 1st. Where with the state, and I'm going from memory here, I believe they do June 30th, July 1st, but we have state folks here that can correct me if I'm wrong, and then at the Fed level, I believe it's September, October 1st. And Todd can help us out, clarification there is needed. Correct.
Yeah, October 1 is the new fiscal year, so yep, that's when we would start the new fiscal year process for invoicing.
But for the LMD, when you're reporting expenses for a year, say if Aquatechnic's final invoice to you arrives in January, you would report that in 2026 or 2025?
The exception would be if, and this happens, if they send me an invoice in January or February for 25 work, then it goes against the 25 numbers.
Oh, it does. Okay, good. Thanks.
Okay, with that, if anyone has their phones handy and would like to come up with a March date, I know March seems like forever from now, but
I was reached for it.
yeah, I know, I wanted to see what Tom, so unfortunately, we didn't bring a cake for you, Tom.
That's all right.
Celebration of your last meeting here. But the only thing we want to clarify is if that room should be open by then.
The American Life.
Yeah, there's another group that's been using it. That's why we had to be in here today.
Second time.
Yeah, it wasn't by choice.
So when is there that other meeting set up for usually?
It's for MLK planning, so by that time,
Oh, that's.
by March, it should be passed, yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
Oh,
That'll be fun in March. You know, so you need to make them- we have to work. with-
Next meeting,
Yeah, Jeff, next meeting in March, what's a good time for you?
well, according to the work plan, the next meeting is February.
Or February? Okay, that works too.
So we got to change either the date or the work plan. Which do you want to change?
Well, since they were collectively aboard together, I'll put that out there as what would we like to do? I'm fine to meet either February or March. And I'm fine to change the work plan to reflect that, so. Either time works, because by then we should have Aquatechnic's final report.
That should,
I don't mind staying in February, but I defer to others. I will be gone the 25th to the 28th of February is all.
we should have the report by the 18th.
So we can either do something
11:30.
Wednesday or Thursday. We can double
You're
check.
talking February?
Yeah, so how does February 18th or 19th look on people's calendars?
I'm fine.
Either of those dates work for me. I guess I'd lean towards the 19th if there's a preference.
All right, so we'll tentatively set it for February 19th.
Four PM
Yeah, 4 PM, if that still works.
works for me.
I know it works easier for staff, so.
Thomas, good to have met you and worked with you. You're the one leaving, right? Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, he's only on phone, unfortunately.
Oh, that's right.
He lost it.
I waved at you.
Thomas waved goodbye to you, Jeff.
You're retiring, as I understand it?
Yep, I'm retiring from all work.
I don't think so.
Except for the homework.
I did that.
Congratulations.
It's you here.
Well, from all paid work, let's put it down.
There we go.
Okay, so with
All
that,
right, good meeting.
go ahead, Jeff.
Good meeting.
Okay, with that, I'll formally close the meeting, so Katie will end the recording. And thank you for everyone that attended today from Camp Murray. Look forward to working with everybody in the future. Thank you, Todd, for being here today. Hopefully your power comes on, Jeff, soon.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thanks.
Katie will turn off the recording, and if anyone wants to talk